this trip, one thing I did want to talk a little bit about is just considerations in general when you go to plan a backpacking trip. So first is, what do you guys have to do to pay off your wives?
Oh, I have
wife dollars.
Yeah. It costs money.
It costs Andy actual money.
Okay.
See, Scott, that might be better than what Scott has to do.
Mine's actual physical cash.
Wow. But how does that work with the wife?
Yeah, quick pay.
Oh, seriously?
Or I'll just say, just credit card or whatever. But it costs money.
I have a friend of mine, Juarez Suarez, who's from Brazil, and I've climbed a few peaks with him. So we climbed Aconcagua down in Chile, then he came up to Denali as part of our Denali team a few years back. And I got to meet his wife and kids when they were visiting Santiago, Chile, like just passing through randomly. And his wife was telling me that every time he does a big climb, he's gone for 3 weeks, a month, she does something. So one year they adopted a dog.
Does he have children?
The next year, he has a couple of kids.
All right.
The next year, she redid their entire kitchen.
Okay.
But she won't tell him what she's going to do, but she does something big.
Does she do it during that 3 weeks?
I don't
Yes,
know if we want
during
our
the
wives
time.
to be listening to this.
So
let's just stick with cash.
Yeah, just stick with the straight up cash. But so it was hilarious. He's like, yes, every time I go, I do not know what I'm going back to. It's just like, something is different in his life significantly.
That's pretty impressive to do a kitchen rehab in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's a good. So
she had it all lined up.
Okay.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I don't do anything for my wife. I take it as like, you get a break from me. So I can kind of sell it that way. Okay, but actual considerations for planning a backpacking trip. So specific to this Colorado Trail, like things that we potentially can care about, like how much of a pain is it to get to the place from the airport? These are things these are like considerations.
Absolutely.
And first of all, like, what are you traveling? Are you flying? Are you taking a road trip?
These are also considerations.
Yeah, because if you're flying, and we've done it before where we go straight to the trail, so like there's no spare clothes, there's no.
Yeah, we've done that before. That's another consideration,
and especially if you don't have a rental car to leave stuff
so
in,
that's
or a
another
locker
thing
at the airport or someone's house. Yeah,
we always try to avoid renting cars.
Yeah,
sometimes it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
But it's just so silly to rent a car to have it sit at a trailhead.
Totally.
So one thing, like when we're planning trips, now this doesn't apply to this trip because
we have some nice features.
We'll get there.
This, yeah.
But one thing we always kind of investigate is if there are local outfitters that drive you to the trailhead, because in a lot of places that exists. Sure. And it's actually crazy to me. Now, Art of the Trek is doing this. So Art of the Trek is this company that sponsored some of our videos, and they're doing this for free right now, where they're not shuttling people, but they will, like, if you just tell them, I want to go somewhere for 4 days, they'll plan the whole thing.
Will they plan the transportation?
I'm sure if you asked them to, they would.
Like, how do I get from A to B?
Yeah, I'm sure if you're like, hey, I need transportation, they would. But anyway, there's no resource other than what I just talked about that does any of this. It's all like YouTube videos, message boards, reaching out to people on Instagram. And it throws kind of a curveball into this whole process.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to go somewhere that's like deep.
Reminds me of a business model my buddy Eric and I talked about on our last backpacking trip. We'll talk about that later.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, interesting.
Is it shuttling people to the trail?
Is it Scott's Expedition Service?
No, it's basically just a van. I've removed the word candy that's been spray painted on the side and apply a logo of some kind. Yeah.
So travel, a good consideration. If you need to like hotels on the way to, I'm trying to think of like if you go to Glacier or something and you got to fly somewhere, you might have to stay at a hotel on the way. Like when we went to Isle Royale, that's another consideration. And we haven't even gotten to the logistics of the actual trip itself, like parking at the trailhead if you have to, water sources, campsites.
Got to get fuel,
food.
Fuel. Those are both good. Those are both good things. Because whenever we fly, we got to stop and get camping fuel.
And depending on your airline and where you're going, how much weight's allowed, if food is part of that or not.
So that's
there's all kinds of.
So that's like for the TRT, we're kind of running into that. Like I cannot take 2 weeks worth of backpacking food with me on the plane with I don't know if I can.
You got to buy some locally,
That's like 30 pounds.
Or are you flying Southwest?
Southwest is two free.
Free,
It's true.
yeah.
One of my baggage things could just be a thing filled with backpacking food.
Yeah, when my wife and I drove around Iceland when we developed this beer, actually, we drove the rim road and we brought an entire duffel full of basically camp food because we were just in a camper van and food in Iceland is so expensive that we're like, we can throw $200 worth of camping food in this duffel and it's going to save us $1,000.
That'll save you
this
$1,000.
shirt.
Yeah, we just made some more of
Is
these.
this new?
No, we've had this for a little while. We've
Not
got a blue
to
one that's kinda
entirely change the subject.
Yeah,
but that's a sick shirt.
Endeavor National Park. So.
Sorry, okay, back to food. But that's a good consideration. I don't think about food because on our big trips, we've been able to bring it with us or mail it out there. That's another thing you can do. I didn't think about fuel. And sometimes the fuel consideration actually changes what stove we bring with us.
Absolutely.
Because it's a lot more of a pain sometimes to get alcohol than it is to get a canister.
Yeah, it kind of depends on if you're going to an outfitter town or a normal town.
Right.
Because if you're at a place where there's a Home Depot, then, you can grab a gallon of fuel, but then you got to put it in a smaller container.
Yeah, right.
And then
you got this
gallon
leftover.
of
I
like
know.
a quart or
I know.
you
So for alcohol, my go-to is a gas station, get the heat bottle.
the heat. Yeah.
Or like if you go to a place that's an outfitter town, you can go to an REI and get a camping.
My go-to
canister.
is I just get the faints from my distillation process from making vodka
that's cheating.
and fill up a liter and tape it up and bring it.
That's cheating, but that's awesome. You can do that.
Yeah, but it actually, because you can fly with alcohol if it's like packaged alcohol, just not fuel. So mine is technically
So like, do
beverage
you have can you
alcohol.
carry a bunch of
Right?
like
Do you have to
three?
put it in the 1 ounce container?
No, but he could check. You could
I
check.
could check it. Yeah, I could check. A bottle of vodka.
Can you
Why not?
Can you also drink this alcohol?
Yeah,
So like when we went to Al Royal, people brought Everclear because it was more efficient.
that's what I'm bringing. So
So this 11% stuff.
There you
is
go.
a walk in the park.
how about some 96% Everclear?
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
It's 96%.
Yep.
So
Does it
100
evaporate really fast?
200 proof or whatever?
it can. Yeah. So you can never have 100% or 200% or 200 proof alcohol because it forms an azeotrope. Here's science, and it draws in moisture from the air. So the minute you expose it to air, it will draw in that moisture. So to get it to pure alcohol, you need to like dry it in a laboratory kind of setting.
Yeah.
It gets really crazy really fast. So in practical terms, 95, 96% is more or less the highest you can actually get alcohol in real everyday practical life.
I see what you mean. Yeah, because don't they to get 200 proof? Don't they have to add stuff to it to like or like? Don't they?
It's a drying process that's
Yeah.
only laboratory, but then once you expose it to air, if
just
those
sucks up water.
it's exactly.
Okay, cool. Any other considerations you can think of before we actually get into this trip?
People should watch our Colorado Trail series on how we brought our backpacks.
That was a good thing. Now we don't have to deal with this on this trip, and we'll get to why. But when we on our last Colorado trip, like just flying with a pack because we couldn't stow luggage anywhere.
Yeah.
What we did, and we like went up to the Southwest counter and we told them what we were doing, and they loved it. We had to pack and we needed some for the return trip. We just took a big trash bag.
Yep.
Put the pack around it, and then duct taped the trash bag and just left the carrying handle out the top of the trash bag, and they put the luggage tag through it, and they loved it.
I've seen that with industrial shrink wrap too.
Yeah.
You can get the big, basically saran wrap and wrap it around stuff.
The only downside to that approach is you need to carry extra stuff for the way back. So we carried extra trash bags and luggage tape to fly home with.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was a good way. Now the way we'll do it these times around are I literally just have an actual suitcase that the pack fits in with everything.
Sure.
But the trash bag with the duct tape worked really well. And then we just looked like hood rats at the baggage claim in the airport after we landed, just ripping our packs out of the trash bags. We were like, what are you doing? That was a good consideration though.
Yeah, that's not my idea. That was online. And that was like what are those contractor garbage bags?
Yeah,
real
the
thick.
big
The
ones.
trash compactor ones are really nice.
Yeah.
They're thick, but the contractor ones.
Okay, that was good.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got your logistics, right? So from my point of view, you've got to think about a few different things. One, there's your primary logistics, like kind of all the stuff we were talking about. But to me, almost the most important thing is sort of the spirit of the trip and making sure that everyone in the group is sort of on the same page.
That is a very good
And
consideration.
this is something that most groups of people completely ignore. If you're going solo anywhere, just innately what kind of trip you want.
Yeah.
You don't have to have this
It's a
conversation with
great
yourself.
point.
But like so many times when you get out there with a group, and the larger the group, the more important this is. That let's make sure we're all in the same. So if one person's out there, we're going to do 25 miles a day and like we're going to get the mileage in, and the other person's like, I'm just down here to kick my heels up and like make a campfire in the evenings and sit in a chair and make some barbecue.
This is a great point.
It's going to be a harsh trip because those two personalities, and I'm kind of, I like both ways. I don't care. You know what I mean? But
Scott, we're not doing 20-mile days.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Deal. But it's sort of like, there's sometimes when people have very strong opinions about what something should be, and not everyone's on the same page.
This is a really good consideration, though.
And we have experience with
we have, and I say that because we have direct experience with this.
Sure.
But that's a good thing. I wouldn't have thought of when talking about this.
Especially if you're flying somewhere for a long period of time, bigger trip.
Yeah, you got like 8 days.
Yeah,
I know.
And you have you've got to go from point A to point B. And you have a flight to catch and transportation lined up. Like, hope everybody planning on doing that. Otherwise, I'll see you at the airport.
Yeah. Good point.